Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to take you on a journey to the heart of southern Africa, to Lusaka, the vibrant capital of Zambia. This isn't just a travel story. It's a story about love, family, and the beautiful dance between the old and the new that defines life there. It's a story about a man named Tinashe and his whip-smart niece, Zola. Our story begins under the sprawling canopy of a jacaranda tree, its purple blossoms carpeting the ground. Tinashe, a man in his late 20s, was a graphic designer, his world filled with pixels, deadlines, and the constant hum of city life. He loved Lusaka, its bustling markets, the fusion of languages on the streets, the feeling of a city constantly reinventing itself. Yet a part of him felt untethered, floating between the modern world he worked in and the traditional roots his parents had instilled in him. His anchor in this swirling world was Zola, his 10-year-old niece. Zola was a firecracker, a girl with bright eyes and a mind as sharp as a tack. She spent her weekends with Tinashe, and their time together was a mix of video games, coding tutorials, and Tinashe's half-hearted attempts to teach her about their family's village customs. Zola would listen, but her questions were always about the why. Why do we do this? What does it mean now? She was a child of the new Zambia, connected to the globe through her tablet, but curious about the stories whispered by her elders. One Saturday, while visiting the Lusaka city market, a kaleidoscope of color, sound, and smell, Tinashe's life took an unexpected turn. He was helping Zola haggle for some beautifully beaded bracelets, when a voice, smooth and melodic, cut through the noise. "You have a good eye for quality," she said. Tinashe turned, and his breath caught. Standing there was a woman with a smile that could rival the Zambian sun. Her name was Thandi. Thandi ran a small stall, but it was more like an art gallery. She sold contemporary Zambian art, sculptures that blended traditional motifs with modern aesthetics, and jewelry that told ancient stories in a new language. She was an artist, a visionary. Tinashe was instantly captivated, not just by her beauty, but by the passion in her eyes as she spoke about her work. She saw the soul of Zambia, not as something to be preserved in a museum, but as a living, breathing thing that could evolve. Zola, never one to be shy, immediately started peppering Thandi with questions about her art. Thandi answered each one with patience and enthusiasm, seeing a kindred spirit in the young girl's curiosity. An instant connection formed between the three of them amidst the chaos of the market. Tinashe left that day with more than just bracelets. He left with a coffee date and a heart doing acrobatics he didn't know were possible. Their first date was at a trendy cafe downtown, a place of polished concrete and artisanal coffee. They talked for hours. Tinashe spoke of his digital world, of creating brand identities for companies that wanted to look global. Thandi spoke of her world, of clay, metal, and canvas, of giving a modern voice to ancestral heritage. They seemed like they were from different universes, yet they found common ground in their shared love for their culture and their desire to see it flourish in the 21st century. As their relationship blossomed, so did the story. Tinashe started bringing Zola along on some of his dates with Thandi. The three of them became an inseparable trio. They would visit art galleries, explore nature reserves just outside the city, and spend evenings in Thandi's studio. Thandi became a mentor to Zola, encouraging her to see that technology and tradition weren't enemies. She showed Zola how she used software to design her sculptures before bringing them to life with her hands. For Zola, Thandi was a real-life superhero, a woman who could code a website and sculpt a masterpiece. Tinashe found himself falling deeper in love, not just with Thandi, but with the version of himself he was becoming around her. She challenged him. She inspired him to incorporate more of his heritage into his own design work. His portfolio began to change. The clean, minimalist designs he once favored started to feature subtle patterns from Bemba textiles, color palettes inspired by the sunsets over the Kafu River. He wasn't just a graphic designer anymore. He was a Zambian graphic designer, and he was proud of it. But love is never a simple path, especially when tradition is involved. As Tinashe's feelings for Thandi grew serious, he knew he had to introduce her to his family, particularly his grandmother, his Gogo, the respected matriarch of the family. Gogo lived in a quiet suburb, her home a sanctuary of tradition. The air smelled of wood smoke and dried herbs, and the walls were adorned with faded photographs of ancestors. The introduction was tense. Gogo was a woman who held customs dear. She looked at Thandi, an independent artist who ran her own business and wore her hair in a stylish, modern cut. With a skeptical eye, she asked pointed questions, not about Thandi's character or her love for Tinashe, but about her family lineage, her clan, and her knowledge of traditional duties. Thandi answered respectfully, but she didn't pretend to be someone she wasn't. She was a modern Zambian woman, proud and self-sufficient. Tinashe's heart sank. He saw the chasm between the woman he loved and the grandmother he revered. Later that evening, Gogo took him aside. "She is a good woman, Tinashe," she said, her voice softer than he expected. "But her world is not our world. Love is important, but family, community, our traditions, they are the roots that hold the tree steady when the storm comes. Can she be one of those roots?" Tinashe was torn. He felt the weight of generations of expectation on his shoulders. This was the conflict he had been living his whole life, now personified in the two women he cared for most. For days, a quiet gloom hung over him. He avoided Thandi, unsure of what to say, how to bridge this gap that seemed miles wide. It was Zola, of course, who broke the impasse. She found Tinashe sitting alone, staring blankly at his computer screen. "Are you sad because of Gogo?" she asked, her voice small. Tinashe nodded. "Gogo doesn't understand, Thandi," he sighed. Zola sat down next to him. "Maybe," she said thoughtfully. "We just need to show her." And then she laid out a plan with the simple, brilliant logic only a child could possess. Thandi uses her computer to make her art, right? And Gogo loves the stories of our family. Let's use your computer to tell Gogo a story. The idea was a spark in the darkness. Tinashe, Thandi, and Zola got to work. It was their project, a bridge built of pixels and love. Tinashe used his design skills, Thandi, her artistic vision, and Zola, her tech-savvy curiosity. Together, they created a digital presentation. It wasn't just a slideshow, it was a living story. They scanned Gogo's old, treasured photographs, images of great-grandparents, village ceremonies, and family gatherings. Tinashe carefully restored them, bringing faded black and white images to life. Then, Thandi designed a beautiful, flowing narrative around them. She created digital illustrations, inspired by traditional Zambian art, that transitioned between the photos, weaving the past into the present. Zola, the project director, coded simple animations, making leaves fall gently across a photo of Gogo's childhood home, and adding the sound of crackling fire to a story about her grandfather. The final piece was a digital tapestry of their family's history, narrated by Zola herself. It honored the past, but was presented in a language the future could understand. The day they presented it to Gogo, the air in her living room was thick with anticipation. Tinashe set up his laptop, his hands trembling slightly. As the presentation began, Gogo's stern expression slowly softened. She saw her parents, young and smiling. She saw herself as a little girl. She heard the stories she had told Tinashe 100 times, now presented in this new, magical way. She saw the art Thandi had created, not as something foreign, but as a beautiful frame that honored her memories. And she heard Zola's voice, the voice of the next generation, tying it all together. When it was over, there were tears in Gogo's eyes. She looked from the screen to Thandi, and for the first time, she truly saw her. She saw not a threat to tradition, but a link to the future. She saw a woman who understood that to honor your roots, you don't have to stay planted in one spot. You can grow new branches, reach for the sun, and still be part of the same ancient, powerful tree. Gogo stood up, walked over to Thandi, and took both of her hands. "You have a good heart," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You understand, family. You belong." In that moment, the gap was closed. Love hadn't conquered tradition, and tradition hadn't defeated love. Instead, they had found a way to dance together, to create something new and beautiful. Tanaj and Thandi's love story wasn't just about two people finding each other. It was about a family, and perhaps even a nation, finding its balance. It was a story of Lusaka, a city of jacaranda trees and glass towers, a city where a grandmother's wisdom and a young girl's code could come together to write a new chapter of an old story. Thanks for listening to this journey with me today. I hope it brought a little bit of the warmth and spirit of Zambia to you. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from around the world. See you next time.